Welcome back. You're watching Credlin. We've spoken a lot about culture in the past few months, haven't we? Particularly in and around Parliament House. But we're about to fall into Easter. Now, for many people, it's a long weekend. For others, it was once and still is a very pivotal religious moment. And in a blistering piece today for the Sydney Morning Herald, 9 News political editor Chris Uhlmann suggests a deeper cultural challenge exists outside of Parliament House and all the culture stuff we've been talking about. And that challenge rests in all of us. According to Uhlmann, Australia is at war with itself. It's a beautiful piece. I commend it to you. And Chris Uhlmann joins me now from Canberra. I thought it was a terrific column today, Chris. I think you need to write as much as you appear on television, if I could say that to your bosses at 9. And thank you for coming on my show. But explain for my viewers at home, you argue that we're at war with itself. Australia is at war with itself, but also Western culture more broadly. Give us a sense of your argument.
Yeah, and it's important, Peter, to remember that we live in contested times, that there is a great challenge for us afoot in the world, and that is that there is another power, China, that wants to set the rules of the 21st century. So there's a contest of ideas on, and China has a very clear idea of what it is at a time when I think the West has little or no understanding of what its project is anymore. And we see that writ large in Australia with those who would undermine and erase almost all of the institutions that we've built up. Now, I'm not saying that Australia is perfect. I'm making an argument from the radical centre, if you like, and that is that we need to listen to each other, but we shouldn't throw out everything that is good. And some of the things that are good in the past include our traditions. Now, we're happy to talk about everyone else's mythology and learnings but our own, and we have 3,000 and more years worth of history on that, and particularly the Western tradition, which marries together Greek reason and Eastern mysticism in Christianity. And that really is the basis of a lot of where our knowledge and our wisdom comes from. And we are in the process of completely deconstructing it.
I thought there was a really powerful passage where you said, you know, the godlessness of Australia is often celebrated by those whose main interest in the past seems to be toppling statues and ransacking textbooks for thought crimes. These erasers claim to be champions of justice, but they're just its executioners. History's real heroes have been the great reformers, not the nihilists. You know, you've talked about this retreat of faith. I think it's more than just a retreat of faith. I mean, it's a battering of faith. It's an attempt to delegitimise faith. And if we come away from our moorings of this Judeo-Christian tradition we have, or heritage in Australia, if we come away from those moorings, where are we going to be?
Yeah, and look, you don't have to believe in God to understand that religion has played a big part in our culture. The basis of our laws really come from the Decalogue, from the Old Testament. You know, thou shalt not kill. If you don't believe in God, there's really no reason why you should come to a conclusion that it's wrong to kill or wrong to steal. You have to try and invent another way of doing things. They were the foundation stones. We've held on to them for good reason because they work. The thing that bothers me is that those who want to erase all of the past, and let's not sugarcoat it, that's the project. People are talking about essentially unpicking Western liberal democracy, offer nothing in its place. They're offering us a wasteland and calling it progress. So until such time as they can come up with a better system, we best not completely deconstruct this one. And, you know, as we head into Easter, I guess there's reason for hope, but we live in a reasonably dismal time at the moment when conversation, it seems to me, between the different parts of our society is becoming almost impossible.
Yeah, no, I don't mind the clash of ideas. I don't mind a differing view on all of these things as long as there's contestability, as long as you can voice a different opinion. I think that's also under challenge. And of course, the social media world doesn't make it any more polite or any more reasonable as it perhaps was in the past. You were very early critical of China and Australia being asleep at the wheel in relation to the risks and challenges of China, not just the opportunity of the dollars. Give us a sense of this moment in history when we're at war with ourselves in the West, but we face a pretty organised and pretty determined threat to our north.
Absolutely. And look, it's within China's ambit really to do what it wants to do because it's becoming a superpower. In a sense, it's moving back to that time when China was the centre of the world. It sees itself, by the way, as the Middle Kingdom, which is somewhere between heaven and earth. It's sitting above other cultures in the world. So it's got a fairly strong sense of its past. By the way, don't forget that the communists tried to completely erase that past, but now they're using it to make an argument for the future for China. But they have a very, very clear of what they want. And they're an authoritarian regime. Now, the rules of the last 75 years, they were essentially set by the Western powers and they were policed by the United States. There's now an active contest about the way the world will be run in the future. Now, the way it's been run may not be perfect, but it's been very good for Australia and countries like it, and I would say very good for most of the world, including China. The way that China would run it would be very different indeed. If we lose this argument, we actually forfeit the future. So it is critically important that here in Australia and through the Western world, we try and agree on what this project is. What is this project at the base of the world, this colonial Western outpost where we've transported some great ideas which give us great freedoms, not perfect, but constantly being tinkered with to try and improve. And I think that's the great thing about democracy. It doesn't stay static. It tries to improve the lives of people up against an autocracy. And in an autocracy, only one person is truly free. So we have a choice about whether or not we will maintain some sort of freedom or be drones in the future. And we know what China wants. They gave us a list of 14 grievances, and among those, they said that they wanted us to mute our politicians and our media from criticising China. That's not a future I want, and it's not a freedom I'm willing to give up.
Really powerful, beautifully written piece today, Chris Uhlmann. Please keep it up. These are the conversations I think we've got to have right around the country.
Peta Credlin, my boss says you've got to come on the Today Show, so quid pro quo.
Yeah, you're asking me in the hot seat. We'll see. My boss says I can. I'll be there. Chris Uhlmann, thank you for your time.
Okay, take care. Bye.
All right, there you go. Look, as I said, I'll put it up on my Facebook page, but I commend that to you to read.